Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm finally back working on the bug. It's been a little while since I've done a video or done anything, only because I've been really focusing on some training in the airplanes. Haven't had a lot of time between work, doing that, and a few other responsibilities. But we have the engine pulled out of the bug. I think I showed that last time on the last video. We have it partially torn down. I've got a good friend of mine that's coming over. He is really my go-to guy when it comes to Volkswagens. He's much more knowledgeable, been doing it a lot longer than I have. And I really respect his opinions on doing things and doing them right. So he's gonna come over. We're gonna actually split the case today. I'll do a time lapse on that. And then what we're gonna do is reseal everything, put it back together. We're not gonna do a full rebuild. This engine was just recently rebuilt. We'll check the bearings and stuff when we get in there, just make sure everything looks okay. If it doesn't, then we'll stop there. I'll order some parts and then we'll go to the next step. So anyway, I'm gonna give you a little shot of what's going on. And then in the last video, I talked about naming of a car. The people I hang around with, we always kind of assume that the naming comes to the vehicle organically. It's not forced. In the last video, I was joking about it, the bug leaking so much fluid, I called it Beetle juice. And in the conversations after the release of the video, it dawned on me and the friend that's coming over that we just dubbed the car Beetlejuice, and that's what it's going to be referred to. Now I have Fillmore, the bus, and we have Beetlejuice, the bug. And it seems very fitting, specifically because of the way it looks. So that's kind of cool. I have promised the friend to try to keep him off camera as much as possible. He just says, I don't want to be on the videos. He doesn't want to see his face, whatever. So anyway, if it happens, it happens. Sorry, Thom, I couldn't help it. I do appreciate all of you that do watch. If you haven't subscribed, I would ask if you would please. And hit the like and the bell in case, you know, I get around to actually doing more videos, then, you know, you'll be able to follow along. Hey, let me show you what's going on with Beetlejuice. As you can see, we have a ton of parts under the bonnet. You got the clutch, got the carburetor sitting there, we got the intake, some of the pushrod tubes. Down there we got the oil fill, the oil cooler. Here's where the engine sits currently. It is actually on the stand. We pulled the head on this side. We're gonna split the case right down here and reseal it. There were some bolts that were not completely tight. We think that the problem was up here, that it was just like this bolt was completely loose and some of these other ones weren't super tight. So we're gonna split everything, look at everything. I've got a mess down here. There's the head down there. The head's looking incredibly good. So we'll get going on this here. Hopefully I can get the Longblock back together. And then at that point, I will work on getting the tins back on it and try to get it back up into the car. Appreciate all that you guys do. We'll talk to you soon. Hopefully you guys have been able to follow along with the time lapse. At this point, we have pulled the pistons and cylinders out. We've pulled the oil pump out. Thom brought his lifter clips to keep those in line. We pulled all of the bolts. I'll show you what's going on. But right now we're getting ready to separate the case at the case halves. I had to go modify his oil pump puller, making them way too long. And then you can see the lifter clips are in there to hold it. That's all the bolts that hold that case together. And then we got our pistons and cylinders over there, oil pump, fuel pump. All right, we got the motor halves split apart. Give you a little shot of that right now. The case came apart fairly easy after we decided to get all the bolts. The bearings, clean everything up, take another good look at it, make sure. A little bit of wear on this lifter right here, you can see a little scoring of it. May need to run some zinc oil. And the cam looks pretty decent, not looking too bad. Thom's just kind of looking things over and seeing what's going on, but well, we got everything cleaned up. We've got all the mating surfaces now are nice and clean. So we do think that the problem was that there wasn't very much sealant, even though I think somewhere I read the factory never used sealant originally. And so you can see all the surfaces are cleaned up. We've got our gasket kits out, and Thom has the idiot's manual, which is fitting for me doing this. Out and getting ready to put everything back together. I'll plug it along, and hopefully here in a few minutes we'll put the goop back on it, set it down, and start torquing it and putting it back together. We've got the glue down on the case halves. We've got our assembly loop on the lifters and the split bearing that's on that half. I think we're about ready. What about here, Thom? Do I need to get around there?
You put it on the other half, might as well put it up there.
Okay, so we're just kind of checking over, make sure we didn't miss anywhere that we put the glue down. We're using the Permatex Aviation, just because I'm doing this in my hangar, or my gasket. People use Corel T, they use what Thom calls gorilla snot. That's what we think Mike might have used on the last reseal, but we're going to use the Aviation, the Permatex Aviation stuff. So I think we're getting ready to put it all together and hope for the best. So anyway, we're getting closer. As you can see, we're pretty much back to a long block and a little bit further. Start putting some of the tin on. We got the oil cooler on. I got to put a heater box on. I got to put the lower tin on, which is right here. After that, we'll drop it off the stand. I'll put the flywheel and the clutch back on, put the fan shroud on, and put the carburetor on. Fire it up. Get her done. So getting pretty close. I gotta remember to put oil in it or I'll be really pissed off. But I think we're at a good stopping point right now. I'm gonna button a few other things. Huge thanks to my friend Thom for coming over and being an extra set of hands, or he's only got one hand. One of them he's kind of gimped up on. But I won't tell you what happened there. We'll leave that for a different time. But huge thanks to him because he definitely has the knowledge and the making sure. We actually have all the bolts tight this time, so that's good. And we got enough sealant in there, we hope, to keep the case from leaking. Hey, you guys will see that the engine's on the floor. I had a friend that was out here on the airport. He swung by, helped me drop it down. Gonna go ahead tonight and get the flywheel on, the clutch on, and probably the top 10. And from there, it's just a matter of buttoning up, getting it back in the car. I hope to have the car running by the end of the week. So it's been a long day. Started probably about 6 hours ago, but hey, to be able to hear the thing fire back up and drive on its own, that's okay. Everybody had to take the flywheel off a couple times. Wanted to check the end play. Didn't feel like I was getting enough end play. Seems to be fine. We're pretty much there. The rest of the stuff will go pretty quick. You can see I put the clutch on, put the flywheel on. I got to put the top 10 on, and then it goes back in that hole. Not soon enough, but you guys get the idea. Hope you like this. Hope the thing will run just fine. Talk to you soon.